All right, let's talk about a single court case that could potentially force the IRS to give back money you paid in penalties during the pandemic. We're diving into Kwong, the United States, and trust me, you're going to want to hear how this could put some serious cash back in your pocket. So let's just get right to it with a really simple question. Think back. Did you get hit with penalties from the IRS for filing or paying your taxes late for any of those pandemic years? So 2019, 2020, 21, or 22? If you're nodding your head yes right now, then you need to stick around for this. First, let's just do a quick rewind. Remember the early 2020s? I mean, what a mess, right? It was just this period of total confusion and, honestly, a lot of financial stress for pretty much everyone. Tax deadlines were all over the place, new programs were popping up. Just keeping your head above water was a full-time job. And in the middle of all that chaos, so many people got blindsided by these huge, unexpected penalties from the IRS. It just felt, well, unfair, right? To get penalized for being late during a global disaster.
But then, something really interesting happened. A court ruling came down that could completely flip the script on all of this. It actually challenges the entire legal reason for those penalties in the first place.
The case is called Kwong v. United States. And on November 25th, 2023, the U.S. Court of Federal Claims made a decision that honestly sent shockwaves through the tax world. It was a direct shot at how the IRS was handling things during the pandemic. So what did the court actually find? Well, putting it simply, they looked at a law from 2019 and said that it mandated, and that is the absolute key word here, it mandated an automatic postponement of tax deadlines for the entire COVID-19 disaster period, plus a bonus 60 days. It wasn't something the IRS could choose to do. The law said they had to. And this really gets to the heart of the disagreement. The IRS position was, hey, we have the option to grant extensions. It's discretionary. But the court looked at the actual words in the law, which said deadlines shall be disregarded. And they said, nope, that's not optional. That language is crystal clear. It's mandatory. It's automatic. Okay, enough of the legal theory. Let's get to what you really care about. What does this actually mean for your wallet? What's the real-world payoff here? This is where it gets really interesting for failure to file penalties. If you followed the court's logic, the real deadline for all those pandemic-era returns was actually July 10th, 2023. So just look at this table. If you filed any time before November 12th, 2023, you were probably overcharged. And get this, if you filed before July 11th, 2023, your penalty should have been zero, zilch, nothing. And for failure to pay penalties, it gets even better. Let's just take the 2019 tax year as an example. This ruling effectively creates 39 months where there should have been no penalty. That could mean a savings of up to 19.5% on penalties you've already paid. We're talking about a significant chunk of change here. Oh, and we can't forget about interest. If the court is right and the real due date was pushed all the way to July 2023, then any interest the IRS charged you before that date, well, that could now be considered an overpayment. The average interest rate back then was around 4.3%, and every single dollar of that interest you paid could now be coming back to you. Now, the impact here doesn't just stop with your personal income tax. This thing has a massive ripple effect, and it's especially big for businesses that were dealing with the Employee Retention Credit, or the ERC. So to get this, we have to know one key term, and it's RSED. It stands for Refund Statute Expiration Date. It's basically the shot clock, the deadline for claiming any kind of tax refund. And usually that clock is set for 3 years after you file your return. So this leads to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? If the Kwong case is right, and the real filing date was July 10th, 2023, does that mean the shot clock for claiming ERC refunds also got pushed way back? We could be talking about new deadlines as late as July 2026, or maybe even into 2027. This could be a game changer for businesses that thought their time had run out. And there's another angle for businesses. Tons of companies had their ERC claims denied, and then they got hit with underpayment interest. But here's the kicker. The IRS started calculating that interest way before this new July 10th, 2023 deadline. What does that mean? It means the IRS probably overcharged them, and that overcharged interest can be abated, basically canceled, even if you're already making payments. Okay, so by now you might be thinking, all right, I think I might be owed a refund. What do I actually do? Let's pivot and talk about a real, concrete action plan for how to go about claiming this money.
Now, doing this the right way is absolutely essential. First, you need Form 843 and you need a separate one for each tax period, signed with actual ink. Second, make copies of absolutely everything. Third, and this is so important, I can't stress it enough, mail it using USPS certified mail with a return receipt. And finally, you have to save all your documentation. That little green return receipt card is your legal proof that you filed. It's your golden ticket.
Now, I have to be really honest with you and manage expectations here. This is not going to be a walk in the park. You can't just send in a form and expect a check to show up in the mail. The IRS is almost certainly not going to issue these refunds automatically. Filing the claim is really just the opening move in a chess game. You have to be prepared for the next steps and for the challenges that are almost guaranteed to come. Let me be perfectly clear about this. You should expect and even plan for the IRS to deny your initial claim. They're going to fight this. They'll probably wait until more courts weigh in or the law gets more settled. A denial is not the end of the road. In fact, it's a predictable part of the journey. And that is exactly why you might need to bring in a professional. An experienced tax attorney knows how to take that denial and turn it into an appeal or another form of dispute. And here's why it's so critical. There's a legal rule called the variance doctrine, which means you can't bring up new arguments in court if they weren't in your original refund claim. A pro makes sure that first claim is ironclad, preserving your right to fight it out later if you have to. So we land here. A federal court has laid out a powerful legal argument that you may have overpaid the IRS. Big time. The path to get that money back is there, it's defined, it's just not going to be simple. So the only question left is the one you see right there. What are you going to do about it?